I'll be straight with you. The NPCs in GTA 5 are a well-painted lie. Fire into the air in the middle of the street, and you'll see 20 people run in the same direction, as if they were copies of the same file. Park on a sidewalk and the pedestrian walking toward you won't swerve. They'll just collide and keep going. Look closely at the faces of passers-by, and within 2 minutes, you'll have seen the same face 3 times on 3 different streets. Or you'll notice only 3 or 4 identical cars in different colors rolling through the streets of Los Sanos. Rockstar knew this. And with GTA 6, they've spent years building the solution. Today I'm going to take you inside that machinery, patent by patent, leak by leak, so that when the game drops on November 19th, 2026, you'll understand exactly why Vice City is going to feel different from anything you've played before. Subscribe because every week you're going to get a new GTA 6 video covering the latest news. Without further ado, let's get into it. To understand what's coming, you first need to understand why the old approach never truly worked. In GTA 5, NPCs operate on what computer science calls a finite state machine. Basically, a tree of pre-recorded decisions. If the player shoots, run. If the player gets close, react. If it's raining, ignore it. It's an if-then system that works acceptably until you look at it closely, and then it falls apart everywhere. There was no city thinking, there were characters waiting for instructions. The core problem is that this system doesn't scale. The more NPCs on screen, the more resources it consumes. And the result is what we all know. Characters clipping through each other, drivers stopping dead in the middle of the highway, pedestrians standing frozen, staring at an accident as if they had no idea what to do. Rockstar has been building the solution since 2019, not loudly. Through patents, internal job listings, and technology, nobody has seen on screen yet, but that already exists on paper. And the first pillar of that entire architecture is the engine that drives the world. The graphics engine. If you're a Rockstar fan, you know what the Euphoria engine is. It was what made GTA 4 feel so different at the time. When you shot someone in that generation, the body didn't fall with a fixed animation. It reacted to the impact. It grabbed onto a wall. It tried to maintain balance. It was real physics running in real time. What people have been speculating about for months is that GTA 6 introduces what some call Euphoria 2.0. A completely overhauled version of that system that no longer simulates just body physics, but a complete nervous system for each character. What does that mean in practice? If you shoot an NPC, they don't drop. They try to stay on their feet. They stumble. They reach for a wall to lean against. And they bring their hand exactly to the point of impact. That's not an animation. That's full body physics calculated in real time. And all of this runs on the new version of Rockstar's Rage engine. An engine they've spent so many years developing that a former in-house audio engineer, Rob Carr, publicly stated that in his view, Rockstar had rebuilt it practically from scratch.
Other than the fact that they probably will have, given the time frame of how long it's taken them to get to this stage, they've probably rebuilt the entirety of the Rage engine.
With that foundation on the table, let's get to the first major system, the patent that redefines how a city thinks. In 2019, Take-Two Interactive filed a patent that was granted in June 2023 under number US 116848555B2. It was signed by 2 Rockstar engineers, Simon Parr and David Hind. The title is technical and dry. What it describes is not. It's called a dual-layer navigation system, and it solves the oldest problem in open-world gaming: NPCs that can't actually think. The system divides each character's intelligence into 2 levels that operate simultaneously. The first is the global level. It thinks at the scale of the city. It has access to everything: traffic state, weather, ongoing events, recent accidents. And using that information, it decides the most logical route from origin to destination. Not the shortest, the most logical. There's a huge difference. The second is the local level. It's the immediate instinct. It detects what's happening within roughly 200 meters of the character: an overturned truck, a puddle, a fight on the corner. And when something interrupts the global level's plan, it signals it. The global level recalculates in real time. What sounds abstract has very concrete consequences. An NPC heading to work in the morning won't follow a fixed route. They'll go wherever makes sense that day. If there's an accident on the highway, they'll find the side road. If it's pouring rain, they might decide to wait. And none of this has been scripted scenario by scenario. The system reasons through it on its own, in every moment. Now multiply this by thousands of NPCs moving simultaneously across Leonida. This isn't set dressing. It's a city that works. The second patent you need to know about is US 116-20781. They call it a virtual character locomotion system, and it targets something that has always bothered us without us quite knowing how to name it, that every NPC moves the same way. The businessman runs the same as the surfer, the elderly woman runs the same as the teenager. And in the rain, everyone gets wet in exactly the same way. What Rockstar is proposing is to eliminate pre-recorded animations and replace them with a modular system. Instead of a library of thousands of animation files for every possible situation, the game has small movement blocks, like pieces of a construction set, that it combines in real time based on context. To know which pieces to use, the system consults what the patent calls a blackboard, a kind of shared environmental memory that is constantly updating. It tracks whether it's raining, whether the character is carrying weight, whether they're injured, whether they're running late, whether they just saw something that frightened them. With all that information, it constructs that character's movement at that exact moment. And there's something the patent mentions that I find especially interesting. Archetypes. Each NPC has a base type: office worker, gang member, tourist, surfer, and that archetype defines their natural movement style. What varies is the layer of context applied on top. The same office worker archetype moves differently at 8 in the morning on the way to work than at 2 in the afternoon walking without a care. The third patent is the most visually spectacular, even if it's technically the quietest. It simulates real fluids: rain, sweat, blood, pooled water, condensation. The age-old problem with fluids in video games is that calculating them directly on 3D models requires a level of processing power that would tank any hardware. Games have solved this with static textures: a droplet texture stuck to the camera, a puddle that doesn't move, clothing that gets wet the same way regardless of rain intensity. What this patent does is solve the problem differently. Instead of calculating the fluid on top of the 3D model, it creates an invisible 2D version of each surface, like a transparent film over the object. Fluids move across that film, react to gravity and temperature, pool in low areas, evaporate when appropriate, and then that result is projected back onto the model you see on screen. The outcome is real physics running without blowing up the system. And we're already seeing it in the trailers. Condensation on bottles, puddles reflecting neon lights, clothing that absorbs water differently depending on the fabric, and rain intensity. And there's something a lot of people missed in the official footage: a water level gauge. That's not decorative. Flooding is going to be a real playable element in Leonida, the fictional version of Florida, which, as you know, is one of the most hurricane-prone states in the world. Up to this point, we've talked about how characters move. Now let's talk about how they live. A heavily discussed leak from a supposed former Rockstar developer revealed something that, if confirmed, is going to completely change how you experience the open world. GTA 6 NPCs have real schedules. Monday morning, 8 a.m. The beaches are nearly empty. The roads are packed with people heading to work. The beach bars are shutting down because there are no customers. The coffee shops in the business district are filled with people grabbing a quick coffee before the office. Saturday at noon, the beaches are full. The same people you saw driving stressed on Monday are now stretched out on a sun lounger. Traffic is concentrated around leisure areas. The clubs start filling up after midnight, and when there's a special event, a concert, a match, an illegal street race on the outskirts, the population density in that area shifts in real time. Specific categories of NPCs appear that only show up in that context. The atmosphere of that area transforms. What this means for gameplay is enormous. A mission you plan for a Tuesday could play out completely differently if you attempt it on a Saturday night. The number of witnesses, the traffic, the police presence, everything changes depending on when you are. Now we get to what I personally consider the most transformative system of all, because it's the one that directly affects how you relate to the world. GTA 6 NPCs will have persistent memory of your actions, not a generic reputation meter like in the games of the 2000s. Concrete memory. Faces, situations, context. If you rob a store in a neighborhood and do it multiple times, the locals will start to recognize you. If you walk into a business with blood-stained clothes, people will react to that before you do anything. If you hit someone in the street, that specific character may remember it. They might avoid you if they see you again. According to the leaks, they might even come looking for payback. And there's a detail in the trailers that confirms this technology already exists in the game. When Lucia walks into a store to rob it, an on-screen indicator reads full description. That's not a made-up UI element. It's the witness system running in real time. When you commit a crime, what happens next depends on who sees you and what they decide to do with that information. Some witnesses pull out their phone and call the police. Others record it and upload the video to the game's internal social networks. Some try to warn nearby NPCs, and the descriptions they give are specific. Your clothes, your car, the direction you were heading. That means changing clothes and repainting your car is no longer just a fan trick. It's a survival mechanic built into the game's design. For years, the running joke in the GTA community has been the same. The cops materialize out of nowhere, shoot without asking questions, and all you have to do is hide behind a dumpster for 30 seconds, and you're fine. That's over. The leaks, backed up by footage from the development process, point to a police system completely redesigned from the ground up. Officers are not going to run straight at you. They'll coordinate. They'll call for backup when the situation warrants it. They'll set up perimeters. They'll flank you if you stay behind the same cover for too long. And there are details I find especially interesting. According to the leaks, officers will physically adjust their stance based on the height of whatever they're using for cover. They'll crouch to reload. They'll reposition while firing. That level of tactical detail has never existed in the series before. For minor crimes, the system feels closer to GTA 4 than GTA 5. The officer approaches, talks to you, gives you the chance to surrender. They don't shoot on sight. They only escalate if you escalate. For serious crimes, police dogs come into play from 3 stars onward, and one very specific leak mentions they can track you if you're hiding in tall grass or behind dumpsters, which means you can no longer just crouch in a corner and wait it out. And if you reach 6 stars, the response is military scale. Armored vehicles, special units, total coordination. And based on what we've seen in the trailers, all of that response depends on what witnesses have reported. If nobody got a clean look at you, if they don't have a description of your vehicle, if you've managed to throw them off, the search is more generic. If they have a full description, they're looking for you specifically. It's the difference between escaping from the cops and disappearing off their radar. And you've never had to think about that distinction in GTA before. Now let's step outside the city for a moment. Because Leonida isn't just Vice City, Leonida is the fictional version of Florida. And Florida has something no GTA setting has ever had before. A real ecosystem. The Everglades, mangroves, coastlines, subtropical jungle. And inside that ecosystem, animals with their own behavior. What's already been identified in the trailers, frame by frame, is impressive. Sea turtles in the early footage, alligators in residential gardens. And that detail is key, because it confirms there's no invisible wall between the urban world and the natural one. An alligator can show up in your neighborhood. A shark can attack you if you swim out too far. A wild boar can charge at you on rural paths. But what I find most interesting isn't the individual animals. It's that there seems to be a real ecosystem operating between them. Predators have hunting routines. Prey react. Day and night cycles determine which animals are active. A gunshot out in the countryside doesn't just startle the nearest animal. It ripples through the entire environment. There's even talk of a fictional in-game organization called Poach, something like a wildlife protection agency, which suggests that hunting or fishing will carry consequences within the world. Not everything you can do will go unpunished. Rockstar set the standard for video game ecosystems with Red Dead Redemption 2, which featured over 200 species with realistic behaviors. On a map inspired by Florida, with all the biodiversity that implies GTA 6 has the ingredients to surpass it. There's a system we saw in the first trailer that generated a lot of buzz, but which I think we still haven't fully understood. The game's internal social networks. GTA 5 already had Life Invader, a parody of Facebook that existed in the game world, but had almost no real impact on gameplay. In GTA 6, this changes in scale entirely. What the trailers show is a TikTok or Instagram Reels-style interface integrated into the world of Leonida. NPCs actively use it. And the key is that it's not just an atmospheric element or social satire, though it is that too. If you cause an incident in the street, an NPC can record it and upload it to that network in real time. That video can go viral within the game world. And if it goes viral, more characters will recognize you when they see you on the street. Your digital reputation will have physical consequences in the world around you. Think about what that means for gameplay. If you do something spectacular or brutal in a specific area and someone records it, that area can change how it behaves toward you. People might avoid you, or come to get a look at you, or call the police before you've done anything at all. And what I find most brilliant about this system is that it works in both directions. It doesn't just expose you, it can also be a tool. If someone uploads a video of a fight in another area, the police might head there instead of looking for you. The attention economy of the game world is going to be manipulable. One of the things fans have asked for in practically every GTA entry is the ability to enter every building, not just mission buildings, any building. There's a patent that points directly at solving that. The procedural interior generation system allows the game engine to automatically construct the interior of any building by combining parameters like building type, neighborhood, the economic level of the area, and the intended use of the space. One very specific leak talks about more than 700 unique, accessible interiors. To put that in perspective, in GTA 5, you could enter a handful of handcrafted locations. The leap would be from another planet. And what makes this system especially interesting isn't just the quantity, it's that the interiors will have contextual coherence. A luxury apartment on the Vice City beachfront won't have the same furniture as a rental flat in the industrial outskirts. A shop in a wealthy neighborhood will look different from one in a poor neighborhood. And that difference hasn't been hand-designed by anyone. It's been inferred by the system from context. Beyond that, these interiors aren't static. According to leaks, they can have their own random events. You walk into a quiet bar and there's an argument about to escalate. You find a safe hidden behind a painting. Someone is hiding there who shouldn't be. These situations will occur without anyone having specifically scripted them. They're emergent. There's one last system I want to talk about because I think it's the most underestimated of all. And it's the one that will add the most depth to long play sessions. GTA 6 appears to have a dynamic economy that reacts to what you do in the world. Destroy delivery trucks in an area and products become scarce, driving prices up. Clear a neighborhood of criminal activity and new businesses move in. Violence drops and property values rise. If police carry out a massive drug bust in an area, the black market there inflates because supply has dropped. Every action has an economic consequence that ripples through the world. And this connects directly to something we see in the trailers. Neighborhoods with very clearly defined economic identities. The wealthy beachfront area, the industrial blocks, the middle-class zones. These aren't just visual settings. They're economic systems with their own dynamics. Dynamics that can shift if you intervene enough. In GTA 5, the world was economically static. You could do whatever you wanted and 5 minutes later, everything was back to normal. In GTA 6, it seems that consequences accumulate. And that completely changes the kind of decisions you make. Let's do a quick inventory of what we've just covered. A physics engine that simulates a nervous system in real time. A dual-layer navigation AI that makes each NPC reason through its own movements. A modular animation system that constructs every movement based on context. Real fluid physics applied to water, sweat, and rain. Daily routines that give the city its own weekly rhythm. Persistent memory that records your actions and turns them into consequences. A witness system that determines how the police search for you. A tactical police AI that thinks rather than chasing you in a straight line. An animal ecosystem with real behaviors. Internal social networks that can make you go viral within the game world. More than 700 procedurally generated interiors. And an economy that absorbs what you do and evolves. All of this together is not a bigger video game, it's a different category. The question I've been asking myself for a long time, and one I think many of you share, is this. How much of all this is actually going to be in the final game? Because we're talking about patents and leaks, and Rockstar hasn't officially confirmed most of these systems. But here's what we do know for certain. Rockstar took 11 years to make GTA 6 after GTA 5. 11 years. And the only reason that timeline makes sense is that they were building something that didn't exist before. Not a prettier version of what came before, a completely new architecture. And if there's one studio in the history of video games, I'll give the benefit of the doubt when it comes to delivering a world that actually works. It's Rockstar. On November 19th, we're going to enter Vice City. And for the first time in the history of the series, I suspect the city is going to keep running after we leave. If this video gave you something to think about, hit like and subscribe. Because here we're going to break down everything that comes out of GTA 6, right up to launch day and beyond. And drop in the comments which of all these systems you think is going to change your way of playing the most. I'm genuinely curious. See you in the next one.